Hi, I'm Jeff, co-founder and CEO of reelyActive, and we're here today in Griffintown doing a quick shoot to celebrate our 5-year anniversary. And I'm wearing this amazing hat, which we made for our 5-year anniversary. And you can judge me for looking a little silly, but honestly, it's kind of windy, and it's better that I wear this. Otherwise, I'd be distracted by my hair flopping around. So the name reelyActive has its origins from 2011 when we took the name Reel, which symbolizes the architecture that's very novel that we use for how we connect our sensors, and the name Active, which pertains to active radio frequency identification. It's the idea of a device having its own energy source and shooting out a radio identifier that serves lots of purposes. That's how we got reelyActive. What we found this year, actually, when we were thinking about it, was that the active in reelyActive also stands for activism. And looking back on our 5-year history, there's been a lot of activism in what we've done. So reelyActive, active RFID, reelyActive, activism as well. Activism is definitely important in what we do because what we're trying to drive is the fourth industrial revolution. And of course, no revolution comes from incremental change. You have to have big ideas, you have to have new ideas, you have to have revolutionary ideas. And that's exactly why activism is important for the vision that we have and the mission that we have driving forward the fourth industrial revolution. We've also found this week in speaking with some of our past contributors who are all around the globe that the thing that really ties us all together is that activism element. It's the discussions we've had late nights over drinks, the philosophy about where things should go, how the world should be, and that's really key to our company culture. It's what ties us all together. At the core of our activism is really people. It's you and I. It's the question of human-computer symbiosis. How do we make it healthy and beneficial to humans, to humanity, to society? And in that, the question is really, how do I represent myself digitally? How do I share that information? How do I advertise my digital self? Am I doing that? Is someone else doing it on my behalf? What about the people, products, and places with which I interact? How are they advertising? Who's responsible for that? How does it all happen? How do we protect privacy? And at the same time, how do we foster discovery and new innovations? So that's the core. Is really people and how we share information moving forward in the fourth industrial revolution. So one would say that social media has the role of connecting people, but there's a caveat, and that's that social media relies on human-entered data. You and I have to decide our profile. We decide what we want to share, and like it or not, we're biased, and we decide what it is that we want to share. And if you compare that with the Internet of Things, one of the core tenets of the Internet of Things is eliminating the need for human-entered data. It's about computers understanding the world without us humans having to enter that data. And that's part of the definition from Kevin Ashton, who actually coined the phrase Internet of Things. So you can see there's definitely a parallel between social media and the Internet of Things, and that's where now we're seeing this convergence of the two moving forward. So our prediction for 2017 was that a major social network would empower its users to share their profile in meet space, in the real world, seamlessly with other human beings, not just online. And we see some pretty interesting promise on that. If you look at a product like Spectacles from Snap, that's an IoT product. That product advertises Bluetooth. It could make the wearer discoverable to its surroundings. And that then starts to play against the hegemony of Google and Apple and the idea of the smartphone. So we're starting to see that I think social media is moving a lot closer towards Internet of Things, and that has some really interesting implications for us as people and the future of how we interact. I would argue that we're getting close to peak mobile. If you look at it from the standpoint of what problems mobile still has, the first one is that we humans are not supposed to interact through a 4 or 5 inch screen. That's us conforming to technology. That's not technology adapting to us. And the second one is really of economics. You have a $500 rectangle, the smartphone, and you have a $5 rectangle, a small beacon, a Bluetooth beacon. And if their role is just to identify you to your surroundings, then really that $5 beacon wins. So I think with mobile, there's still tons and tons of utility, but I think we're reaching that point where alternatives are going to start to crop up and its dominance may be tested. So how can a simple $5 beacon or spectacles or a Bluetooth device replace mobile? Well, what we're seeing today is you have connected infrastructure in spaces, now especially through the lighting, which is acting really as a Bluetooth gateway. It's acting as an infrastructure for connectivity. So even the simplest little device can be detected by a space, and that information can then be shared wherever it's needed. And then the second piece is really advances in comm technology, where we have the opportunity now to interact on glass in an environment, or through sound, or through light, or through other sources that are more natural to us. So combining this new infrastructure, comm technology, we start to really challenge what was possible only through mobile up till now. Obviously, there's some pretty big challenges in that scenario. The first of which being just the sheer number of partners. It's a huge marketplace. So if I give you an example, I walk into a space, my wearable is detected by the lighting infrastructure, which sends a message along to the reelyActive platform, which then looks up my profile, which could be on any one of different sources, possibly multiple sources, and then has to go and share that information with everyone and everything that needs to know it. So it ends up being a very big marketplace with a lot of producers, a lot of consumers, but all of the technical ingredients are actually in place for that. One of the challenges to overcome, I think, next will be trust and the transaction of how do I exchange my data in a way that I can trust and that I can that's recorded correctly, so that I can benefit in a commensurate way. And if that sounds like the blockchain, then that's, really what we're excited about is the advances there really seem like they could be a key enabler to allowing trillions and trillions of microtransactions on a daily basis based on how people interact. So one of the verticals that's really taking off for us right now is Smart Office. And in Smart Office, you have essentially the microcosm of the big vision. And the way that customers are approaching us on this, they're really focusing on employee experience, which we think is great because it's focusing on really the key ingredient, which is us people, the people who should be benefiting from the technology. So in a smart office, the idea is how can I make my employees happier because they have better interactions, because there are fewer frustrations, fewer inefficiencies. And then the real return on investment behind that is being able to use a workplace more efficiently, so saving costs, cutting inefficiencies. And on the other side, it's also safety and security. So unfortunately, things do go wrong in the world. And when you're able to understand the context of what's happening in a space in real time, you can react much faster and you can save some potentially disastrous scenarios. But for Smart Office, it's really great to see that employee experience is the driver for moving it forward. What's most exciting for me is that today we are selling a product that makes sense, that has product market fit, that has clear business cases, and people are coming to us and deploying our infrastructure and our platform, and it works. It's delivering value. It's a really great feeling when you get to that level of success in a business. But beyond that, there's so much more potential in this platform. And even if we don't need to pitch that, to sell it today, there's so much value still in the bag, untapped. So for the next 5 years, it'll be great to just progressively roll out some of these amazing features that are enabled essentially with the flip of a switch, because all of the technical ingredients are there. It's really just about people being ready for these transformations. And I can't wait to see what that looks like. It's going to be a really fun ride the next 5 years. So the reason why we've decided to shoot here in Montreal's Griffintown neighborhood is not only because it's my home, and if you look a little bit into me, I've actually done quite a bit of activism in this neighborhood, but it's also the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution in Canada. We're right now on the Lachine Canal, and this is where ships would unload and drive deeper into the North American heartland, and this is really where it all happened here in Canada. And I think that's very fitting, because what we're talking about is another industrial revolution. This time it's the fourth industrial revolution. And it's really great to be powering and driving that from right here in this neighborhood that has so much historical significance for Canada. So very proud about that, and I hope you appreciate the lovely views in my neighborhood as much as I do. It's nice to finally have summer in Montreal. I'm very happy about that.